We are entering into a brand new digital age, the age of the creator economy. In this creator economy, whatever it is you want to do, whether you're a writer who wants to publish a book, or you're a thought leader who wants to start their own business, or you just want to participate in this new age of creativity, you're gonna need to grow your audience, which means you're going to need to build a body of work and share that work online. But there are a lot of aspiring writers who hold themselves back with limiting beliefs that prevent them from getting started or from posting consistently. So in today's video, I want to talk about 4 common mindset blocks that prevent writers from growing online and how to overcome them. The first mindset block is, I don't know how to start. This is probably the most common thing that I hear as a teacher of writing, whether it's in the classroom with my students or with people who want to start sharing their writing online, but they're feeling fear or intimidation about that. A lot of people tell themselves a story that they don't know where to start. But that story is simply not true. There are 1,000 places where you could start sharing your writing online, but that's not really what's going on here. What's really going on is that we're afraid to start, because if we choose one platform and start sharing our writing online, then all the other mindset blocks and fears that we have might come true. A lot of people think that they need to be an expert before they start sharing their writing online, or they think they need to know exactly what their niche is going to be before they start sharing. I'm here to tell you that that is just not how it works, and in fact, it's really hard to get started if you tell yourself you need to have all of the answers before you even start exploring. I don't really know any creators who had their niche all figured out before they just started practicing the skill of sharing their writing online. And for most of them, myself included, the reason that we are able to make the work that we're making today is because we had a phase of getting started with exploration, trying out different topics, exploring niches we were interested in, and responding to the kind of feedback that we got from our audience as it grew and as we began to share more consistently. So rather than telling yourself a story about how you don't know how to get started, here's what you can do instead. Think about the topics that you love to learn about from other writers or creators online. Who are those people that as soon as you see an email from them in your inbox or a notification that they posted a new YouTube video, or you're always happy to see them pop up on your TikTok feed or Instagram, what are those people talking about? What are the topics that they're discussing that you're so interested in that it's the first thing you click on when you go online? It might not be the case that those exact things are what you want to talk about, but there's some kernel of connection there. What is it about the way those people present their ideas that is so appealing to you? And is there a topic that you feel the same way about when you're discussing it, whether it's just with friends or when you're commenting online? And that idea brings me to my next suggestion. Think about where you're already writing online, whether that is sending a message to a friend or leaving a voice memo, or perhaps you're commenting on Reddit or other kinds of groups and discussion boards. There are probably already online conversations that you're engaged in. And so it's not that big of a leap to just start creating the conversation rather than being the one to respond to it. Those funny text messages that you send to the group chat, maybe you want to post a picture on Instagram and use that as the caption. That topic that you could deep dive about and get into the comments about on YouTube, maybe that's what you want to make some videos about. That friend who always says how much they enjoy your voice memos, think about whether or not you might want to make a podcast for exactly the kind of people who love to receive your voice memos. You have thoughts and ideas that are worth sharing. The next step is where you choose a platform and you start posting consistently. And it seems really straightforward, but again, this is where a lot of people tell themselves that they are stuck. They don't know which one to choose, and they want to be posting on all the platforms. that usually is a recipe for burnout and frustration, because it's really hard to gain traction and to understand what it is you're trying to do if you're spreading your energy around posting in a bunch of different places. So I usually recommend to people to choose either one or maximum 2 places to share their work online. And I also recommend that they choose maybe 2 different formats. So if you want to make videos and post them on YouTube or TikTok, and you also maybe want to write and you want to share your writing on Substack, those are 2 different mediums, and I think it's okay. And what you can also do is sometimes take ideas that you've written down and turn it into a video script, or if you had a really fun time making a video, then you might want to adapt those ideas into an essay or a blog post. I've been making videos for years and recently started posting more consistently on my Substack. You can find the link in my bio. And it only recently occurred to me that I could have those 2 things converge and talk about similar things on both platforms, and I could use both platforms to share more of my work. So people who read my Substack can see the links that I share to my YouTube videos, and people on my YouTube channel, like you, can check out my Substack. But the key when it comes to just getting started by choosing one platform is to try to write a story of this as a playful experiment. What can you do to make this feel less pressure, even if it's just thinking, how could I make this 5% more fun? What that looks like for me is allowing myself to be in the process of learning. I'm somebody who loves to learn new things, and YouTube is actually a huge learning curve. And so rather than thinking that every video has to be the best thing I've ever created, I like to think of my YouTube journey as with every video, I'm learning something new. I'm learning even how I can approach my own creativity and my own thought process, and how I can create more value for people in the world just by sharing my own experiences. So if you're a fiction writer who wants to write a book, then you don't have to write the entire book before you start sharing it with your audience. Maybe you want to start a newsletter where you send weekly updates on the writing process with things like character sketches or descriptions of the world building that you're doing, or perhaps books that you're reading that you're finding inspiring. A lot of writers are also big time readers. So share with your audience what it is you're currently reading and grow those connections with people who are interested in the same topics, because those people might eventually become your readers when your book is complete. Mindset block number 2 is self-promotion is so cringe. Okay. I really feel this one. This probably stopped me from sharing my writing online for years, literal years, before I decided that there really isn't anything wrong with feeling the emotion of cringe, which is just a modern way of saying we're experiencing the emotion of shame. Now, I've talked a lot in other videos about shame as an emotion, and I actually think shame is a huge driving force when it comes to procrastination and other things that prevent people from pursuing their dreams. So one of the first things that I think is really helpful is just to consider that, yeah, you might experience a little bit of shame, embarrassment, or call it cringe, if you will, if you start sharing your work online. But that doesn't actually have to be a problem. Why do we not want to be considered cringe? It's basic human evolution to want to fit in, to want to belong, and to not be rejected by our tribe. So it makes perfect sense that if we do something that steps outside of the norm, like start sharing our work online or putting ourselves out there for people to comment, then we might be sort of afraid on a almost like evolutionary survival level that we're going to be kicked out of the tribe. And we can't actually prevent that emotion from happening, but we can change the story that we have around the experience of that emotion. So when you notice that feeling of shame or cringe in your body, one of the secrets is to change the framework in which you experience that emotion. Are you feeling shame because you've done something that goes against social norms? Or are you feeling shame because you decided that you were worthy of listening to, that you had thoughts and ideas that are of value to others? I invite you to view sharing your writing online as sharing something of value that other people deeply desire. So going back to this idea that I talked about before, where there are probably writers and creators that you can't wait to consume their content, you can imagine that there are people that will feel the exact same way about you and your creative work. All those times when you've seen a YouTube video and you've had the thought, I felt that exact same way. Or when you've read an article and the words resonated with you and you had some new understanding or some new kind of breakthrough, you can be that same person. But the thing is, you have to be okay with feeling this sense of shame that's going to crop up, but it's not going to harm you. In fact, you can use it as an opportunity to practice processing the emotion of shame, which is a really unique experience we're not taught how to do when we're young, but we can learn how to do it. We can learn how to recognize, notice the sensations in our body, and watch the emotion as it rises and then falls. For me, when I notice that I'm feeling shame, a lot of times it's because I'm doing something that requires me to be courageous, that requires me to trust myself, that requires me to have my own back, and also is something that I think of as being valuable to offer to others. So while those little shame gremlins want to climb aboard and start yelling at me that, this is cringy or this is embarrassing, I like to remind myself that other people will find value in what I have to offer. I find value in what I have to offer, if only for the journey of learning more and becoming more my authentic self. And once I've worked through the feeling of shame, on the other side of it is often a feeling of pride or even accomplishment that feels really good, because I know that I did something that required me to allow myself to step outside of the circle and be seen and be visible in a way that's sometimes really challenging. So if you want to feel proud of yourself, which I highly recommend as a motivating emotion, which I talked about in this video up here, then I recommend telling yourself a new story about what does it mean to be cringe. So what I'm trying to tell you is embrace the cringe and live your best creative life. The third mindset block that prevents writers from growing online is, I don't want to be on social media. Oof, yeah, I get it. I find myself scrolling social media when I'm procrastinating, when I'm trying to turn my brain off. I tell myself that it's restful, but it's really not. And sometimes social media can feel like an extremely toxic place. But social media has also become kind of a catch-all term for just like spaces where people are sharing on the internet. So I want you to think about, what are some forms of social media that don't feel so draining to you? Perhaps you want to get away from social media or curate your feeds a little bit that are just causing you to feel more despair or anxiety, and that leads to procrastination and sometimes even burnout and total shutdown. And instead to experiment with different platforms and even different formats of sharing content. A lot of people I know, writers like myself, are really enjoying the space of Substack right now, because it feels like a lot of people just sharing their creativity in a way that feels kind of like old school internet. But sometimes there can also be this kind of culture of looking down on social media that's related to this idea of self-promotion being cringe or icky. I see it a little bit differently. We now live in a world where literally anyone who has a connection to the internet can start offering things of value to their audience and connecting with like-minded others. You get to decide how to show up on social media in a way that aligns with your personality. This is an opportunity to view your writing as the start of a conversation with the type of people that you want to call into your life. While there are certainly dark sides to social media, there also are huge opportunities for people to find others with interests and perspectives similar to their own, and even better, slightly different, that expand their consciousness. So people who bring us into a new world of understanding or introduce us to new topics that we wouldn't have otherwise learned about, and start to deconstruct our sort of traditional view of the world that includes more people and ultimately works to expand our consciousness as a collective. And last but not least, the fourth mindset block is I don't see the point of writing online. Like I mentioned before, a lot of writers want to hold on to this kind of romantic view of writing, that it's all about solitary writing in a cabin in upstate Maine, and they send their manuscript off and get discovered by a literary agent and then get six-figure book deals and get to write and travel the world for the rest of their days. And while that does sound like a beautiful experience, I also think that it's just not that realistic for how books are being put out into the world. Most writers are going to have to build an audience online before they're ever going to get the attention of someone like a literary agent or a book publisher. As a book coach, I see this with my clients sometimes. They have amazing ideas, they're excellent writers, they're willing to do the work, but a lot of agents and publishers are looking for somebody who already has somewhat of an online presence. And again, it doesn't need to turn into this like icky, cringe-inducing experience. It's really about getting in touch with what are the things that are interesting to me that I can share with others and call in the people who are interested in my work. So one of the ways I'm doing this is I am practicing the skill of building in public. And by that, I mean I am sharing my writing online on Substack. I'm sharing videos on YouTube. I'm talking about my experiences as a book coach and as a small business owner. And I'm inviting people on the journey with me as I build my business while writing books and having a full-time teaching job. Every time I share some of my writing, I'm planting a seed for the future of my audience. I'm inviting people to come join me on this journey, and eventually, hopefully someday when I get a book deal, those people will be really excited to pre-order or go out and purchase my book as soon as it's available. Every piece you publish is a chance to connect with your future readers. So what are some mindset blocks that are keeping you from sharing your writing online? Ultimately, the benefits of sharing your writing online compound over time. It's like building a digital resume of your ideas. Your words help build relationships and attract opportunities and create impact. Even if you don't yet have a book or an online course or a product yet, start writing now. Your readers will find you and join you on your journey.